Nut Nerd Podcast, episode 279, Be an Icon.
Welcome to the Nut Nerd Podcast. I'm Nate Heath, and we are here to help you tech better. We've got all kinds of fun technology to talk about and some not so fun stuff as well. Here with me, as always, Mr. Dave Baylor.
If it's not fun, I don't want to talk about it, Nate.
I know, but sometimes it's necessary. If the goal is to tech better, sometimes you have to hear about the non-fun things as well.
I guess so. And
yes.
the good fun things are, is we were just having a good time just a moment ago, and I'm still chuckling about it. I wish that we had we do have a Patreon, but I wish we had a special show for our listeners. But
yes.
Of course, the extra content may not always be suitable for all audiences.
All audiences, yes.
But our main show is, and so tell your friends, tell your wives, hide your children, tell your children, grandma, whoever, let them know that the Not Nerd Podcast exists.
Yes, maybe we should, since we're taking a break from the YouTube version of the episodes, maybe at some point we should on Patreon make available the unedited Zoom recording of our entire podcast and see if people would pay for that so they'd have incriminating evidence on us.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fluff,
Yes.
but oftentimes funny, so that's worthwhile.
Well, let's get into our follow-up because that's always worthwhile. So it was I think it was a month or two ago, we talked about Gazelle, the first name in iPhone trade-ins and device trade-ins, and how they're going away from their mail-in program, and they were just going to use their ATM-like devices, vending machines at Walmart or wherever they have them. And hey, news this week, it's back.
Yeah.
And basically they said, we've heard from their consumers, and that was not a good idea. So we're back, baby, they said.
Well, and I kind of did a deep dive on some Reddit comments, and a lot of people don't like that company for some reason. I've always had a decent experience with it.
Yeah.
But your mileage may vary, so make sure you're not getting ripped off, and they're treating you right if you do choose to use Gazelle, because a lot of people are chiming in and saying, I never use them. So, maybe they shot themselves in the foot, and now that they're gone and back again, that people won't even use them. So we shall see.
Yes. We were talking last week about all that Facebook data that was released out into the wild. And I saw a post from a service we've talked about several times, and it's a great reminder. It's Have I Been Pwned?
Yeah.
And that's Pwned, P-W-N-E-D. And it's Troy Hunt, and he created this service where he tries to gather all the data from all the breaches, and you can search by your email or now your phone number to see if it's been a part of those breaches. So you can check and see if your phone number was released in the Facebook thing. Now, you might be saying, who cares? It's my phone number. Well, if somebody has your phone number, your email address, and your full name, they have all those pieces of information. It's going to be a lot easier to trick you on something. Mm-hmm. So they could say, hey, they could send you a text message and says, it looks like your email's been hacked. Click this link to save it now. Or
they send you an email message that says, we've detected that you've had trouble on this number. Is this your number? We're going to send you a code.
Yes.
And they've got everything to just own you.
Yes, indeed. So, have I been pwned? It's good to go there. I think we talked about the fact that Google Chrome, I've had several clients, friends, and family contact me and go, I got some warning in Google Chrome that all my passwords are compromised. Well, they kind of have a similar thing built in now. So if you save your passwords in Chrome, it will check to see if those passwords are out there in breaches, or it'll tell you, hey, you use the same password on 35 different websites.
That's very cool.
And I just checked my phone number on Have I Been Pwned, and no pwnage found on my phone number. It's a much different story for my email addresses, but
yes, I've checked them before, and my email addresses are out and about. But
yes, my personal email, Gmail address is in 25 data breaches.
Wow.
Which is just lovely.
Check your breaches, like we used to say.
Yes, we did. Our next one, we obviously talk about podcasts a lot. We care about podcasts a lot, but Amplify Media breaks down the numbers of how many podcasts you're actually up against. So it's kind of for the podcast industry. It says, so Apple says they have over 2 million podcasts in their directory now, which is a lot of podcasts. But 1/4 of all podcasts are out of business, or more likely were never really in business. But they went through and looked at the numbers, and 26% of all podcasts have only published one episode.
Wow.
And
Wow.
37%, 2 or fewer, 44%, 3 or fewer, and a little more than a third have actually produced 10 or more episodes.
Wow. So that's good news for people like you and me who work hard and we come to the table and record a show every week and we put it out there. We don't have a ton of listeners, but we're making content. And there are a lot of people who start these podcasts. So when you look at the numbers and say, oh, there's 1 million podcasts, it's good to know that we're maybe not up against such competition because a lot of those don't even exist.
Yes. And one of the things that they do mention in there, and they have a little chart, is some of the different hosting providers. And Anchor.fm, which was purchased by Spotify and had a free, like you could just record in the app and publish your episodes. So there's probably a ton of people that are just like, hey, I'm going to download this and give it a try.
Did it once.
And then never. Yeah. And it looks like in the tiny chart there, 67% of the one episode podcast come from Anchor.
So that's likely what happened. Let's try this out, and or it's bots trying to do something.
That could always be. And we were talking about the Justin Long Intel ads and how cringe-worthy those were.
They're despicable.
Trying to go against Apple with Intel processors. Well, they had a I was going to say print ad, but a photo ad that they put out there that said the world's best processor on a thin and light laptop. And they're talking about the new 11th generation chips being the world's best processor. Well, somebody noted that the stock image offered by Getty Images that they used is a MacBook Pro, which there has never been a MacBook Pro that has an 11th generation Intel chip in it. So, somebody in Intel, or a couple of people in Intel's marketing department, need to find a new career path.
Oh, so you were thinking that the ad was implying that the computer in the photo and the words that or stating that it's in a thin laptop, that those were the same laptops? They're just saying it's in some thin laptop. Yes. The picture is just eye candy because it's got a handsome
I guess it does say on a thin and light laptop.
Yeah, not on this one with an arrow. Print,
it should say not on this thin and light laptop.
Yeah, a little asterisk, not actual laptop.
Yes. And our next piece, we haven't talked about a new Wise product in a while, and we both missed this one. They actually announced, and they did it on April 1st, so everybody's like, is this for real or not? And they said, we're not pranking, the Wise car.
Yeah. You need to explain that a little further.
Yes. So they announced the Wise car. Now, we've talked about, rumors of an Apple car. This is a small remote control device that works with a WiseCam version 2 only. And so they had 5,000 of these, and they did 500 per hour until they sold out. All of them sold out nearly immediately. You saw some conversation on it where people were like, I didn't get one of these. I tried so hard. And but
I think they were pretty hard to get.
Yes, it looks like it almost looks kind of like a little off-road scissor lift kind of a wagon thing where you mount the camera on the front, and then it's got a light and a battery pack, and then it runs through an app on your phone. It looks like a pretty cool little device. They sold them for $50, which is a crazy good price, like many of Wise's products.
I would have totally purchased one of these for $50.
Yeah.
And I was thinking of use cases. So one, it could definitely be used as a toy. You put your WiseCam on there, they're about $30 or whatever. Stick it on there, you've got this $50 thing, you control it with your phone. You can get real-time video feedback. You're out chasing the dog or going under, a culvert or whatever, exploring outside with this thing. It'd be a great toy, but also you could have it rigged up in your house. So when you're gone, if you're like, oh shoot, did I turn the light off in the den? You could drive over there and just take a look and go, oh, the light is on.
Yes.
If you don't have a smart. So I think there's limited use for driving around your home. Remember when Amazon came out with that little hovercraft, drone that was going to fly around your house? Yes. So this is kind of
much on that, huh?
No, I haven't heard one more article on that thing. I think this could maybe be a cheaper version of that. It just drives around your house and you're gone. You could scare your pets or whatever. But I mean, it's kind of cool.
Yeah. Well, and the thing that I thought of is like a home inspector going to a crawl space or something, pest inspector being able to put this. It says it's got a nice big LED headlight on the front of it, 2 hours of nonstop action with it looks like it's a detachable battery pack. So you could possibly even do a different battery pack or whatever on there. But they're having some fun with this one, where many of their products are very practical. They decided to, instead of doing an April Fool's Day, having a real cool product in very limited quantity. So we'll see if those come out again.
Yeah. I hope they do. I'm going to pick one up if they do.
And speaking of Wise, any updates on your Wise watch usage? I have not been using mine. Again, I only have one wrist available for a watch right now, but I know you've been using yours. Yes,
and I think I mentioned it last week that I couldn't remember the exact day that I filled it up, but it was either last Wednesday or Thursday. And so we're recording on a Sunday, so it's been probably 10 to 11 days of solid usage, no charge, and my Wise watch, which has been on my wrist except for when I shower, because I see no purpose in wearing it in the shower, 7%. It's still at 7%. 1 week and a few days later, so going on 10 plus days, this thing is still charged. So I'd say once a week, once and a half a week.
Wow.
About halfway through, I cranked up the heart rate monitor, so it checks it every 5 minutes. It hasn't seemed to affect the battery whatsoever. And I've been double watching it, but the other day I went to work and I just did the Wise watch. And did I miss my Apple Watch? I've fallen in love with it.
Yes.
But was I unable to do the things I normally do? No, I just had to go to my phone for most of those things. I have a great pro-con list, and when my video finally comes out, I'm going to talk about all these things. But yes, 7%, 10 or 11 days later. Awesome.
That is very cool. And you know what else is very cool? Dave's Pro Tip of the Week.
So Nate, you and I, we both, you have PDX Fast Foodie. I love to go out to restaurants and I love to eat food. I like to get takeout and bring it home, which is very popular these days in the COVID pandemic world.
Yes.
And so I wanted to bring something to the table, pun intended, called Google Takeout. Now, this has nothing to do with food, but
it was a great segue.
It was a great segue. Google Takeout is, it's a service offered by Google that allows Google users, if you have a Gmail account or if it's something through work and your work email is through Google, et cetera, it allows you to take your data out of their services. Now, it doesn't mean you have to shut the service down. But if you have put content into Google and you're like, I want to pull all of that out and put it over here in another service, how do I do that? Well, Google Takeout is the answer. And to get there, you can simply go to takeout.google.com and it'll take you to this service. At the top of the page, this is a little bit interesting and I want to kind of go through this, but it says, your account, your data. Export a copy of content in your Google account to back it up or use it with a service outside of Google. And that little part, I want to highlight your account, your data. I don't feel like Google really believes that. I think Google believes it is their data.
Yes.
Because they're giving you free services and in exchange.
We'll let you have a copy of your data.
We would, if you were griping loud enough and long enough and talking to members of Congress and state and local authorities about how bad we are, we're going to let you have a copy of your data. So that's kind of what this is all about. I don't know when they started doing this, but it's great that it's there. Now, let's go through a couple of the items that are there and the things that you might want to use. If you have an Android device, you can just export all kinds of data about how it's operating. The arts and culture thing, we've talked about this in the past a long time ago, long before all of the national museums started putting all their data online. There was the arts and culture application that has a lot of information in it. Anyway, you can export that. If you had a Blogger account like 500 years ago, is Blogger still a thing?
It is still a thing, and I have seen people still use it. And I had a Blogger. I think I might still have one of some project.
Mine's
I did
out there somewhere floating around.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, now we're getting into some more interesting things like your calendar. If you need to do a full export, if you're like, I'm going to go to Apple Calendar and I need to just export everything and move to that. Your Chrome, your bookmarks and stuff in your history, those things can be gotten from your Chrome browser. But if you don't want to do that, or if you use multiple instances of Chrome browsers, you can download all of them. Google Classroom, Google Print, Contacts, that's another one that you would probably use an instance where you wanted to export your data or back it up. All your files in Google Drive. Yeah. So it just goes on and on. Google Earth, Google Business, Google One, Google Pay, Google Photos, Google Photos. Speaking of which, I mean, I couldn't even begin to tell someone how to get all of their photos out of Google Photos. Hit select all 550,000 photos and click export. Well, that's probably going to break. But they have a tool that'll just export them for you and put them in a folder on your... Anyway, if you've ever wondered how to get your data out of Google that you've given them over the years, takeout.google.com is your answer.
Yes, I have used this in the past, both for myself if I wanted to download stuff, as well as, if some people wanted all their Drive stuff, or if they, lost some stuff on their computer and needed to get it back. But a wise man once said, one backup is none backup. So if all of your photos are in Google Photos, you got an external hard drive or a bunch of space on your computer, hey, why not do the Google takeout of all your photos, put them on a drive somewhere just so you have another copy, or like you said, if you were trying to use a different service or any of that stuff. And
the big trick with these free online photo services, although we love them and recommend them, they're not really a backup. They are, what do they call those? Where it's just another version of it, right? So, for example, if I have a photo on my phone and it's in the cloud and it's on my computer, if I delete it in one place, it deletes it everywhere. So it's not really a backup. It's more of a copy. A backup is completely isolated from your other services so that you cannot accidentally delete every photo and it deletes it on all your devices. So use these services as backups sparingly, because you could wake up one day and all your data could be gone. So Google Takeout is a great way to take care of that.
Or if you're like our friend Todd, who has a YouTube channel that YouTube often decides is not worthy of being on YouTube anymore because of the great VHS tapes that he rips and uploads. The very last option is YouTube and YouTube Music, where you can download all of your videos in one click instead of using a third-party service or trying to go through and do it yourself. So Google Takeout, it is a good tool to have in your toolbox. And on to our takes of the week. We've been anticipating a spring Apple event, and we haven't heard anything yet as we're recording this. And last week we talked about the big expansion they did on Apple Arcade with new games and some reimagined old games. Well, this past week, they had another press release. Apple's Find My network now offers third-party finding experiences. So this is very curious because at this spring event, we were expecting to get again, how many times can I say long-rumored in one episode? Long-rumored AirTags, Apple's own entry into kind of this, keychain finder type device that would work with all your Apple devices. Well, they announced that there are, I believe, 3 companies that are approved to be part of the Find My, and it's Van Moof, which makes e-bikes, Belkin, that has some true wireless earbuds that'll be part of it, which is interesting because AirPods, obviously. And then the Chipolo, which I had not heard of before this past week, but I've heard several people sing their praises. They have a new, similar to the tracker devices and all the other ones that we've talked about, Tile. They have a new one-spot item finder that will work with Apple's Find My app. So you would be able to put this on your keychain and then find it with your phone. It would also use this super secure network they had of all Apple devices out there. If somebody stole your keys and they're walking by somebody else's iPhone, it'll do some magic to do that kind of stuff. Now, the interesting thing, all of these products, it doesn't look like they're shipping yet with the Find My built in. And so it looks like in the next couple months, we'll get some of that. But yeah, it's kind of interesting that they're announcing this before announcing their own product.
Well, and speaking of Tile, why isn't Tile on this list?
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, they were the ones complaining about it. It doesn't seem like they've taken the time to get in with Apple to make their devices part of the network.
A lot of deals, I'm sure, and I'm sure these three companies are paying a nice little fee on each of these devices to Apple to be part of this, because it is definitely a great selling factor. I'm on on Belkin's site trying to look at their headphones to see, and they don't have like a big thing saying, "Oh, Find My" on the device. So, but those will be coming, and who knows, maybe we'll see AirTags at some point in the future as well.
Oh man, I can't wait for this rollout, whether it's going to be this month at an event or if we're going to have to wait till June, till WWDC. There's so many products from Apple that I just want. I want them now.
Yes.
I want it now.
Yes. Oh, it looks like the Belkin True Wireless Earbuds. Great name. They're $100 and they ship in June, and they do mention the Apple Find My app. So it looks like June is when all this stuff will be released. So maybe Apple is announcing this to kind of avoid some antitrust stuff, and then they'll announce the AirTag soon, or they'll wait till WWDC and everything will kind of come out at the same time, like you're saying. This next story, this is interesting. I was playing around with this a little bit before we started recording. Samsung has created a eye test website. And what you do is you go to, the website is eyetest.nz.
Yeah, hold on. This has nothing to do with your eyes, by the way.
No.
This is the letter I.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you go to the website on your phone, and it gives you the instruction of how to add to your home screen. Then you click on it, and it is a fully immersive. It feels like you're using Android, Samsung's version of Android on your phone, and you can test out the different apps and try.
How did you get this to work? I tried multiple times and cannot get it to work. I thought, well, it's not working because I'm using the Brave browser, so I need to use Safari, the built-in browser on my phone.
Oh.
So I went to Safari, did it, downloaded the thing. When I launch it, it just is the barcode that says, scan this thing here. It's so weird.
You must have been, I don't know. It worked the first time for me. And as somebody who has used Android, not Samsung's version much, but yeah, it's like it really feels like you're on the phone within this app. And like you open the camera app and it's got some influencer guy that kind of walks you through the camera. So Samsung, I think it's a genius way for them to do a little marketing. I don't know if it's going to work. But it is a fun little way to try out Samsung on your iPhone if that's a thing you wanted to do.
You know what? I'm going to table this discussion, and next week we can follow up and see if in 7 days I can figure out how to make this Samsung app work on my phone. So,
yes. And speaking of smartphones, LG is going to close mobile phone business worldwide. So they've made a lot of interesting phones. They made some decent phones over the years, but I think it's a lot of work to try to keep up with Apple and Samsung and the big phone providers. So they're going to focus on TVs and refrigerators and washers and dryers.
They make so many things.
Yes,
but,
as does Samsung as well. But yeah, LG's. So if you're an LG smartphone lover, pour one out because you will not be getting a new one.
Yes, and the next television I buy is probably going to be an LG. So I like this company, and maybe since they're not doing phones anymore, they can spend more energy on making their TVs even better.
Yes. And speaking of shutting down, Yahoo Answers will be shut down forever on May the 4th. Be with you.
Yahoo Answers. Now, I've used this before. Have you?
Yeah. It's been around a long time. And of course, as we often talk about, Yahoo has changed hands many times and split up and put together. And I think, Reddit or Quora, there's so many of these other places where you can just find answers that seem to be a little more updated updated than Yahoo Answers. So I think they just kind of like LG and the smartphones just decide, hey, you know what? There's plenty of other places for people to get answers. We're going to shut this down. I can't imagine it was too profitable at this time, no matter how many ads they put on the page.
Well, and Yahoo's been bought and sold so many times. Who even knows who's running the thing at this point?
Exactly. A story we might have briefly mentioned on a previous episode, but this week from Nikkei Asia, I saw an article, MacBook and iPad production delayed as supply crunch hits Apple. Now, there is a global chip shortage after this last year and some of the key production facilities having issues. And so it's affecting everybody that uses chips in their devices, which, as we know, is just about everything these days.
Yeah.
But it looks like it's officially hit Apple now as well. So, that could even impact like the new iPads being announced and, all the products, computer availability, smart device availability, Wise watches, any of that stuff. There's just a real crunch. I think I did see something that Joseph Biden and the White House are going to be holding a tech roundtable on, what the U.S. could possibly do on spinning up some chip production and that kind of thing here in the U.S. or
Joseph Biden, are you dating his daughter or something?
Yes. Joseph R. Biden. I just like to be professional on the podcast.
He is the president of the United States. So,
yes. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out after the crazy last year that we've had. It might be a crazy year this year as far as getting electronics goes.
Well,
so hopefully they can get that sorted out.
Maybe this will be kind of a course correction so that we're not throwing all of last year's electronics in the trash, but we're actually using them longer. I always like to have the latest, greatest thing. But if the latest, greatest thing is not out there, I'm fine using what I have.
Yeah. I could survive a little bit longer with my current devices.
Yes.
But what fun is that?
Great fun.
Yes, our bonus odd take. I saw a friend of the show, Dylan, on Twitter mention y.at is the URL for this website, and it's y.at. And what this is their tagline is be an icon.
I can't imagine how much that URL costs them to buy.
Yeah, I know.
Y.at. Okay,
I know.
But go on.
It's crazy. So what you can do with this, it's kind of almost related to like the non-fungible token or reserving a domain name or any of that stuff. So there's y.at/ and then you go through their site once you get an invite, which if you need one, I've got a couple, and you pick out emojis. And then your URL, your personal URL becomes y.at, and mine is, I guess that would be right pointing finger, bacon, iPhone, sun. Those are my 4 emojis that I purchased that, and I own that web address now.
Now, hold on. This is a web address?
Yes.
Like a website, like apple.com?
Yes.
With emojis?
Yes.
How does that work?
It is. So Dave, I'll text you my y.at address.
Okay.
And then...
I see. It's y.at/.
Oh, yeah, /
So it's a subdirectory of their website.
Yeah,
you don't get your own website.
It's just a page on theirs, but it uses emojis. So I guess technically we could do start a service notnerd.com / and then charge you for emojis. Now, the interesting thing on this is they use AI to calculate the popularity of the icons you select, and it's a pretty limited set. They didn't even have any mustache icons, which is just a shame. But depending on the variety of emojis and the length, they charge you a price for your emoji address. It's really a weird thing. And so for my 4 emojis, the right pointing finger, bacon, phone, sun, I paid $5, but you can pay thousands of dollars if you wanted like just 1 emoji or 2 emojis that went really well together.
Or if you wanted something like, I don't know, eggplant and some other things. So I got to tell you, this is very similar to offering by a company, and I cannot remember the name of it. They were here in Portland, and I knew a guy who worked with them, and they created basically an address or a name based on this code. And there was an app, and you could send messages to Ghost Smiley Eggplant, and it would be your friend. But the beauty of it is that you could share that with somebody that you didn't know. So it's not giving them your name or email address. It was all done through emojis across this app, and it must have died. But this seems like kind of a resurrection of something that I've seen before. So I'm going to try to find the name of that, and maybe we can follow up next week.
Yes.
But while we're at it, while this is still fresh, I want to click the link on my computer and see what happens. It says Not Nerd, Tech Better, PDX Fast Foodie, and Consist Media.
Oh, yes. I have not done much with my profile yet there, but you can kind of create a link page there. But yeah, it's as Dylan said when he did it, I think his was $4 and mine was $5. It's like, either this is the best investment in my life or the worst. I will say on
the other thing was free, so I don't know what's going on.
The one thing, their Twitter account has 6,000 followers, so it doesn't look like this has gone real viral at this point. So maybe I did get in early enough that this will be something, and I can sell my y.at address for $1 million someday.
I mean, okay. This reminds me, it kind of reminds me of the Star Registry. We're the National Star Registry. Send us $20 and we'll name a star after you. It's like, well, who gave you the right to do that? All they really did was take advantage of putting some name on a list next to a star. Anyway, so maybe we need to have a Star Registry and make some money that way. I just thought of that. That's a good way to. I know. Let's take every star name and sell it as a non-fungible token.
There we go.
And then people can trade them and sell them. And
let's we'll start with the Big Dipper, and then we can.
Well, that's a constellation, Nate. I don't have to tell you that, but
I'm not into all that science stuff.
Yeah.
If you say so. But so that was way too much on y.at. You can check it out. And if you need an invite, you can get in line. But if you need an invite, again, quick sidestep. All these services like Clubhouse and it's like this, you get in line, and I still haven't gotten an invite or a, thing for Clubhouse after months. They have like this false limitation on their services. And it's like, hey, the buzz is going to be over by the time you get around to getting anybody on your service.
I think there's two things. One, if there's so many people, it could overwhelm their servers and they don't want to pay an exorbitant amount of money. And two, it's to build the mystique, right?
Yes, exactly. Yes, the exclusivity of it is what they're going for. But
you don't have a Clubhouse invite? Yes. You're not invited to my party.
Yeah, exactly. And that's I don't like it that much, but I understand there might be some good reasons for it. But there are always great reasons for our picks of the week.
And I'm going to go a little different this week. I'm not going to recommend a game, which I do occasionally. I'm not going to recommend a product that I buy on Amazon or elsewhere because I'm poor and I'm not buying things right now. But I will recommend a YouTuber that I subscribe to their channel. And you may be saying, Dave, isn't that going to take viewership away from you and Not Nerd? I'm not worried at all.
Yes.
Not Nerd is ironclad.
Yes.
The 6 people we have listening to us are going to listen to us. There are moms, our cousins, our friends. They're going to listen regardless, so I'm not worried at all. But this fellow's name is John Redinger, and he's been doing YouTube a long time. And the reason I'm recommending him is because he does something similar to what we do. He explains gadgets and technology in a way that's easy to understand. His YouTube channel is very highly produced, beautiful cameras. And I'm going to go there right now. And on his page, I see OnePlus 9 versus the OnePlus 8. If you're a OnePlus phone guy, Google Plus, VS, cheap smart home, there's the plug that I purchased. It's the one that's got the smart plugs from, who is it from? Govee or somebody? GoSund, yeah. So he reviewed that product, a bunch of stuff. He talks about, he's an Apple fan and does iPhone and Mac and all that stuff. So if there's a gadget out there or a tech story that's worthy of him making a video, he'll do it. So there's just a lot of interesting information. He did one a while back. What if Apple's alternate history? It's just a lot of fun. If you're into technology, which means you probably are because you're listening to this podcast, and you want something else to listen to or watch, then John Redinger on the YouTubes.
Yes, very nice. I do not think I've watched any of his videos, but I will check them out. My pick of the week this week. Oh, go ahead.
He used to go by Techno Buffalo, so maybe.
Oh, yes. I do remember Techno Buffalo.
Yeah, okay.
That is much more familiar. Well, my pick of the week this week, I found one of those articles as I was going through all the tech news, and it was like the 40 apps you need for iOS or your iPhone and iPad. And I was going through, and most of them we have talked about at some point on the podcast. But there was one that I was not familiar with, so I went and downloaded it, and it is called Buddy Watch. Now, going back to the Apple Watch, this is not available for the Wise Watch, but you download this app on your phone, and what they do is they allow people with whatever the latest watch OS is, they allowed you to share watch faces. So I could share a watch face with you. I could create something with all the different complications and the looks and the background photo. So what this is a crowdsource to get new Apple Watch faces. So you can scroll through and look at the latest faces that people have created, or you can search and look through it. And then with a couple clicks, it's installed on your Apple Watch, and I found one that I liked. It had cool design with some lines on it, and there's some really creative things that people have done with the Apple Watch faces, and now you can just find them there. So if you've got an Apple Watch in the latest version of the software, check out Buddy Watch and get some cool new custom watch faces. Like there's a Stitch from Lilo and Stitch, or just a bunch of different designs, some Easter ones that show up in the recent. But I don't change my Apple Watch face too often. Every once in a while I do. I've got a couple that I'll swap through. But if you do like that, if you want to find something that matches your outfit, or maybe has some functionality you didn't think, some complications, you can check them out at Buddy Watch. And it's free.
Most of them, as I expected, are just a photo with the little clock, because you can customize those as your heart is content. But you can also have the complications and stuff which require a download of the app which contains that complication, and there's some built-in complications as well. So I think it's great because it gives users who are just kind of basic users something to look at, and it gives power users some interesting watch face combinations that they may not have thought about.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. And on to our Ramazon purchase of the week. We love it when you guys use our links, like amazon.notnerd.com, or any of the show notes and any of that to shop with Amazon. We get a little kickback, and I go through those anonymous reports. And this week, we had somebody get something that is pretty cool, and I would love to hear from whoever got this. It's the Davis Instruments Vantage View and WeatherLink Live Bundle with console, and that is the least descriptive Amazon title we have ever had.
I don't even know what that is.
This is a serious, no joke weather station.
Okay.
So like full on, let me see if I can send you a picture here. Cause it's got like the whole big thing with the different meters that goes on your roof. And then some other connector. It's not letting me, hold on. Technology here. Take a screenshot and then text message that to Dave. And then you can see what I'm talking about. And this is, everybody's familiar with the Oregon Scientific little weather station things that you can put in your backyard. This is a no joke sensor suite monitors outside temperature and humidity, wind speed and direction, and rainfall. Console and WeatherLink Live give barometric pressure, inside temperature, and humidity. Console offers graphing, wind chill, dew point, alarms, forecast, moon phase. This is fast data updates. Packets sent every 2.5 seconds.
Holy cow, that's up to date.
Yeah, so this is the real deal. It's got 4.5 stars on 25 ratings. But I think I will give you a small hint. The price range is probably why they have not sold a ton of these when you can get the Oregon Scientific ones for much cheaper. But this is like if you want to have a full-on weather station at your home, this is the device for you.
And I do. I want this. So whoever bought this, please buy a second one and send it to my address.
Yes.
Send me a text message if you know me. If not, just visit the website and send. Oh, well, that's a good reminder. You can always call us and leave us a message at
608-618-NERD, which is 6373.
Yes, or just go to notnerd.com and that information is available there.
Yes.
This is neat. I bet you're going to ask me what I'd pay for something like this.
Yes.
Well, I've seen these come and go at places like Costco, and of course I've done some research on these in the past on Amazon, although mine's like, what can I get for $60 type of thing. This seems like it's a little more involved, and I'm going to say that this is like a $150 weather station. Am I in the ballpark?
Not even close. $446.37.
Well, my defense is the picture is not. It's not a very descriptive picture.
No, it is not.
There's no way to tell if this thing is made out of plastic or high density chromium metal. So anyway, $400. Yeah, this is a serious deal. I guess I should have taken a tip from the way you're describing this thing earlier.
Yes, and it looks like it does have like app functionality where you can have all the data and charts and a whole thing. So yes, if this was you that purchased this, dear listener, or know who did,
well,
please let us know. Yes, thank you for that purchase. And that is a serious piece of weather technology. And for those that follow my personal social media accounts, you know that I have a fondness for local weathermen. So and their charts and the inaccuracies of those charts.
The local weatherman probably has been listening to you and looking at your stuff on Twitter and going, we got to do better, folks. And so he bought this to put in his backyard at home.
Yeah.
I bet he doesn't have any better technology than this to look up the weather.
It just makes sense. Well, with that, we should probably wrap up this episode. We've talked enough technology at you this week. Please, if there's something you're curious about with technology, like Dave was saying, get in touch with us. We don't know what questions you have. We try to cover all the news that we come across and all the tips that we can think of, but there's a lot more technology that we don't get to out there. So we would love to hear from you, and love it when you tell a friend or an enemy. We're equal opportunity here. Tell everybody about the Not Nerd podcast so everyone can get out there and tech better.
Yeah, maybe you hate us and you hate the person, and you're like, hey, listen to this thing, it's the best. And then they're like, oh, this is terrible. And it's like, psych, I'm your enemy.
Gotcha.
Loser.